It is 9 p.m., the middle of the night in the state of Minnesota, and a tornado warning has been broadcasted across the state, and a massive wedge is consuming a town. And in just a couple of minutes, the entire town would practically disappear. Summer is really close for the state of Minnesota, and recently been some pretty enjoyable weather for the Minnesotans. But all good things eventually come to an end. It's May 3rd, 2025, and the Prediction Center for Minnesota hasn't really been seeing anything special, just a slight warning for thunderstorms. So now, Minnesota has lucked out yet again. It's now the morning of May 4th, 2025. They were greeted with 60-degree weather and a pretty nice calm breeze, but in the atmosphere, everything was far from calm. The Weather Prediction Center just realized their mistake, that all of those were errors. That's when they instantly put a moderate risk for the Minnesota City Metro and Wisconsin in for Iowa. But the main focus was in the City Metro. The temperatures were just about 80. The Cape was at 6,000 joules per kilogram, and these were perfect ingredients for supercells, things that can easily create damaging winds, or even worse, tornadoes. But it was only a matter of time. As the day passed, most of the chase was already left. And by 9:44, they started to see rotation, and most of the chases were packed up on these new roads. Suddenly, a small little rope stretched from the sky. A small tornado has formed. Although weak now, it's already doing a ton of damage, like shredding up trees, throwing stuff so fast that it literally gets embedded into stuff, and the pavement having markings. A neighborhood of tightly packed homes sat right in its direct path. Although it didn't do much damage, the roofs were already being ejected off. Clear that something was starting to intensify in the storm, and it wasn't gonna end well. The tornado eventually crosses borderlines into a new town called North Oaks. The tornado has now sustained winds of over 200 miles per hour, and sadly crossing over an apartment complex and killing 10 people. The first deaths contributed to the tornado, and as it moved on, it crosses over the highway as dozens of people are passing by. Unfortunately, many cars here were tossed or rolled over into the side of a ditch, and other cars piled on top of each other. As it crosses the highway, the wind field expands as 30 more people are killed in their homes. The wind field expands to over, and it is expanding really, really fast. And it is now around 1 mile wide. But something more dire had to be issued than just a simple tornado warning. The first ever tornado emergency for the surrounding areas in White Bear Lake was issued. And some of the most terrifying emergencies has been said. If you are in the Ramsey County or Washington County, there has been a confirmed tornado on the ground with multiple vortices. This is a very violent tornado and should be taken seriously. Take cover. This is some of the most frightening tornado warnings ever said. As it continues east, someone doing lake work has spotted the massive wedge moving across the lake. He films as it starts to grow with all the water surrounding it. As it crosses the bay from the lake, it still is at its 1 mile wide and is only getting more violent. Suddenly, a new, smaller vortice starts to spawn inside. Very small, but insanely violent. That's when suddenly the massive multi-vortex tornado starts to enter the outskirts of White Bear Lake. That's when suddenly the core gains a multi-vortex core-like type of thing, where dozens of vortices pass and sweep by, showing that the tornado is so powerful that it needs to split its power into multiple different vortices. As it continues, every single thing in its path is shredded, and it's now beginning to head for the interstate. And a team that is trying to escape, called the Biker Gang, is now trying to escape the outer vortex of the tornado. As they keep on moving at a moderate 20 miles per hour, they suddenly notice that the rain is calming down. Something is happening. A vortice sweeps by and lifts one of their bike, as more of dozens of vortices start to sweep by. The tornado is now only 1 mile away, and at this point, they see the massive main subvortex. That's when suddenly the rain stops, and they are now battling over 40-mile-per-hour winds, but they keep going. They keep on pushing until they're actually inside of the outer fields. Suddenly, the winds begin to pick up. 70-mile-per-hour winds of inflow start to happen, but they keep on battling it. That's when suddenly the core, with multiple different vortices, is only 300 yards away. And this is now the fastest growing tornado in history. Now at its peak, 4 miles wide.
I think we might be already in it. Just keep going, keep going. Go! Keep it going, yes! Oh shit! Hold on, guys, hold on! Oh fuck! I'm getting battered
You can see the markings left from the dozens of vortices passing by from the road.
by a bunch of debris. Oh, hold on.
Suddenly, them feeling the high pressure drop, they keep going, pushing up to 40 miles an hour. But unfortunately, the tornado is now actually moving the fastest a tornado's ever moved. It is now expanding at 30 miles per hour and is literally moving at them at 100. Combining these motions, that means the tornado is literally moving at them at 130 miles an hour. And unfortunately, they get
Okay,
caught.
go, into the ditch, into the ditch!
Suddenly, winds spike over 100 miles an hour, and their bike is lifted and shredded up, and their bodies were never found again. That's when the 4-mile-wide tornado starts to approach the town of White Bear Lake, and it slowly is starting to close in on the interstate 35 east. That's when suddenly pickups and cars on the interstate started to roll over. Winds in the storm start to spike over 100 miles an hour. And in just a few moments, the entire area would look like a massive drought instead of a tornado. Suddenly, its outer wind field gains winds over 100 miles per hour, suddenly showing that this thing has intensified insanely fast. And what lied right in the direct path was a tennis court that many players used, but that didn't matter to the tornado as it was heaved out of the earth. And nearby stores, which were supposed to handle up to 300-mile-per-hour winds, were literally flattened, with all of the debris smeared across the ground. The tornado dug up the earth as it passed and injured so many people. So many deaths were slowly starting to trickle in through White Bear Lake, equaling up to 13 deaths. And now, this tornado is starting to harbor some of the strongest winds ever measured on the planet. And on Interstate 694, the Dow trucks were measuring wind gusts up to 350 miles an hour. As the disgusting monster crosses the lake, it hits a home with a safe inside with 10,000 pounds of force of anchoring, but that didn't matter to the tornado as it was sucked and heaved out of the earth and crushed into a mangled mess. And it started to wobble in intensity, and it's starting to shrink down to only 1 mile wide. But It's only EF0 now, and it starts to curve up north, showing that it's about to die. And in fact, it just dies. Very small and very weak, until the dust circulation becomes nothing, and that nothingness becomes quiet.